Hey y'all, so I'm making this video about my top 20 extensions of 2020. So the reason I'm doing this is because I feel like we all have learned more about extensions and add-ons in Google Chrome in the year of 2020, and I thought maybe I had something to share, right? So some of these extensions are brand new to me as of a month ago. Some of these extensions I've been using since as long as I've had a Chromebook available to me, regardless of how long I've been using them. I find them to be incredibly helpful in different situations. So I wouldn't say you'd probably add all 20 of them, but you might find 4 or 5 that are really useful for you. So I'm going to blitz through all of them. I'm going to try to do it in one take. I'm recording using Screencastify right now, so quick disclosure on me, I'm using a Chromebook. I use a Chromebook for a lot of my work. I do have a Windows device at the actual office, but when I work from home and a lot of times when I'm in the office, I end up using a Chromebook anyways because I love Chrome OS. So this is not me pitching Chrome as if I'm not a user myself. These are all things that I have found immensely useful in the year 2020. So that's number one. Number two, I'm not going to edit this with some crazy software. I don't have a WeVideo subscription. I don't have any other editing software, so I'm just going to use Screencastify's editor. So you'll see some text pop up, maybe some zooms, but that's really it. So it's going to be kind of a raw video. It's not going to have a lot of frills in it, but hopefully you'll see that it can still be effective, and you'll learn something about my top 20. All right, so let's jump into this. So. All right, I'm going to put myself over here, probably in the corner. Okay, so the first one, explain and send screenshots. I've been using the keyboard shortcut, Control-Shift, and then the switcher button, the rectangle with the few dots, the few lines, at the top of the keyboard forever. And then this stumbled into my feed one day, fell into my lap, and I don't know how I'll ever go back. So I'm not going to read this whole document to you. It's in the description. You're more than welcome to go through. The watch is just going to be timestamps of this video, right? So you're looking at it. So explain and send screenshots. Let me show you how it works real quick. So you click on the extension after you add it. You have all these different options, but I'm a select area guy. You can also set it on timers. So if you needed to switch to something. I can't really think of a great example of that, but it's going to black out the screen, and then you're going to select the area. So let's say this is the area. Whoops. Okay. And then it's going to open in a new tab. So here's their little editor. This is why I think it's so amazing, right? Everything I just did, I could do with the Chrome tool that's built in. But here's a couple things I love. So I'm going to pick the color I want first. A little tip there, and I'm going to pick the tool I want to use, which is the numbering tool, and I'm going to start numbering things in this. So do this, do that, more stuff here. Okay, so you could just easily, quickly create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you do it, right? It could be something that you're giving out to students in class. It could be a website they need to navigate. You could just take a screenshot of it and tell them these are the places to go. If that's not obvious enough, which it may not be, right? We know how that works. Make some more arrows, okay? Change the colors, make it brighter. If you really want to, spotlight, right? If you screw that up, it's not a big deal, right? But maybe I want to spotlight that corner. Or one of my favorite tools of this is sometimes I take a screenshot and then I'm like, oh my gosh, it has people's names on it. I'm not going to publish that, right? I can't use that information anymore. Well, I can blur it, right? So if I select, maybe this is the part I need to blur, and then you're like, well, I can still kind of read that, Jason. I can too, so I'll just blur it again. And you're like, I can still read it. I'm like, I don't think you can, but I'll blur it again. And at some point, right, if I blur it a couple times, you're not going to be able to read that anymore. So now I can blur out that information and only show what I need to show, right? And even if I wanted to, I could blur that out. And then if people were wondering, I could say student names will be here, right? Easy enough. And then there's a little highlight there. Okay, the coolest thing, I like all of that, right? All of that is really awesome. But the coolest thing is when I click done, it gives me all these options. But if I just hit Control-C, you see how it kind of flashed real quick? It saves in my clipboard. So now put it back in an email, add it to a Google Doc, add it to a Google Slide, right? Anywhere I can Control V and paste an image. Now I can put this anywhere. It's amazing. So I love explaining and sending screenshots. That's really cool. All right, next one. Web Paint. So I'm a big page marker fan. Well, I used to be a big page marker fan, and now I think I'm a bigger Web Paint fan. All right, so Web Paint, you got this toolbar, right? It's a pretty big toolbar, but you can move it around if you need to. So if I don't need it up there, maybe I want it down here, right? Pick my color pretty quickly. And maybe I needed to circle some stuff, right? So I'm going to circle features include. Boom, done. Or maybe I wanted to use the circle tool to circle it, right? Boom, done. Okay, line tool. You know, you've got just a few different tools here. You can fill things. So if you need to, you can fill that in. And then if you screw up, you undo. If you want to, you save an image and then erase it all, get rid of the extension. That's it. So the reason why I like this tool is there are sometimes when I'm explaining something that I really wish I could just draw right on top of it, right? And I'm not in a Screencastify video editing. I'm not in Cami. There are other tools that do this right, but sometimes it's really nice to just be able to click up here, and now I've got a tool that I can use straight away. So that's a really convenient extension to have. Mpen. Mpen is almost the same thing, except it's a little bit more limiting on which sites you can use it. So I thought I'd be able to write right on top of this, just like I could with WebPaint, right? And I haven't had any success doing that. And maybe because it's a published website, I'm not really sure why it's not working on this. But let me show you why I think Mpen is still might be worth you looking into. When I right-click or two-finger click on the Mpen, you see how it says new blank page, ruled grid page, and then other stuff, right? Let's say I needed a grid. When I click on this, they just have these really simple HTML websites. If I click on my Mpen tools, now I've got graph paper, grid paper, and I can make whatever I need to make. Whoa, holy thick line. I need to make that a little bit thinner. All right, so let's go back here. Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. All right. So let's undo what we did there. Let's start again. And we're making an XY, right? And of course, like, I know there are other tools that do this, right? But if I'm like anybody else, sometimes I get in a pinch where I'm like, if I just had something to do it right now, like I don't want to open, and this is really easy to just open and start, right? So now I can do this. I can make this bigger. So then I can just plot some dots, right? And then if I need to, I can just save it. You know, I could do explain and send screenshots, right, to save it, or I can use my screenshot trick. But a quick way to kind of use a new page, which is kind of cool. I haven't seen that before. All right, let's jump back to close Mpen. Eyedropper. All right, so quick disclosure on where I use Eyedropper, right? You see how on these banners, they're blue, green, red. Okay, those are the Google colors, right? Those are the 4 Google colors. Well, maybe they publish those, but I don't need that, right? So when I went to get those colors, because I like those 4 colors, I think they look really great, I went and found a Google image of their logo. So this is good enough, right? I go to my eyedropper. It says pick color from web page, and I just click it. That's it. Now that has saved to my clipboard, but I can also go find it right here. It's the last one I did. Okay. And then when I want to use that color, I just go into anything I want to use that color in. So let's say I'm going into a Google Doc and I want to use that yellow. I go down to custom and I just paste the code in, the hex code in, right? If I did like 4 colors at a time, which is how I often do it, then they'd just be the last 4 right here. You can see I use it a decent amount of times, right? And I don't have plus, so I don't have a bunch of palettes and all that. I just use it to pick colors. And there's other ways to do this. WebPaint has a color picker and Mpen has a color picker, but I just kind of have always used this one. And now you can see Google yellow. And that's it, right? And then when you're using it in a Google app, it stays down there as custom. So if you wanted to add 4 or 5 and make a custom palette, then they would stay down there during that document. So that's pretty awesome. Eyedropper. Pretty cool. Emoji keyboard. So I'm actually an Emojipedia fan, emojipedia.org. I'm also a fan of this fact that you can right click or two finger click on a Chromebook and click on emoji. That's pretty cool. But sometimes you just want to copy an emoji and paste it in, and so the emoji keyboard does a really good job. Let me pin that up there so I can click on it, and then I can search, right? So let's say I want to search for candy for some reason, right? Like, and then all I want, if you notice, they're going into the search bar. They're actually being saved. They're copied right now. So if I want to go paste them in, all three of those are in there. It's a really easy tool to use and just get emojis in. Why would I care about emojis, right? Put them in your assignment names. Helps people identify. Visually, it helps people identify, right? There's no color in the assignment name, so if you can put an emoji, I've seen a lot of really cool tricks with just using the colored dots and what are those at in here? Like hearts, colored hearts, for different kinds of assignments, the numbers for different kinds of assignments, and these squares and circles for different kinds of assignments. So even without using images, right, you can still color code things using emojis, which is really cool. So Google Classroom topics, Google Classroom assignments, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, all of those names could all have emojis. Google Drive folders could all have emojis, right? And that could help a lot of people visually recognize what they're looking at before reading it, because sometimes it's just overload. So that's a really cool extension to add. Mote, holy mote. Mote is so amazing. Mote is a voice tool, right? So you can comment on people's work using voice. That's really, if you just want to, boil it down to something really quickly, which I'm trying to do. So let's say I wanted to comment on this student's work. Okay. You'll notice I've got a little mote M right here, right? So I'm recording. So I think that's a great yellow. I think it matches Google perfectly, and I love the use of emojis. I think it's really useful. All right, click done. Now, the amazing part of this, you've got my contact information now. It should transcribe it automatically for you. It takes a little bit of time, but you can just write this transcription and then you can translate the transcription into these languages. Not comprehensive by any means, but it could help somebody, right? It could help somebody. So pretty cool that I can give some audio feedback directly into a comment. They can open it within the doc, right? It's not opening in a new tab or anything. It's not a new URL. It's just right there. Okay. I hit that comment and it's right there. They just hit play. How easy is that? All right. So you can comment on your Google Workspace. You can comment in private comments on Google Classroom. Anywhere that the mote M shows up when you go to write a comment, you can add some voice in. So I think that's a really powerful way to give students some more genuine feedback, right? Whew, we're doing good, guys. Tactiq. Okay. Tactiq. Let's see if I can get Tactiq to work. We're going to go into a Google Meet. So what Tactiq does real quickly is it transcribes everybody's voice within a Google Meet. And it matches their name to who's talking. I don't know how it does it. That's pretty cool. You get 30 of them per month, right? So you couldn't transcribe the amount of Google Meets we're all on. You couldn't do it for every single one, right? So let me get it off of my other screen here, and we're going to continue. All right. So you see the little Tactiq. Tactiq's the little cloud. I've already logged in with my Google account. So it will prompt you to do that, and that will allow you to save it as a Google Doc. So that's why I have logged in with my Google account. And we are going to open this up. Okay. And you'll notice right away that nothing is happening. Okay. So you need your microphone on, obviously, so it can hear you. And you also need captions to be on so it can capture the captions. That's what it's doing. It's actually just capturing the captions and putting them into a Google Doc. So we're actually going to leave this screen. We're going to let it just kind of do its thing and marinate. It doesn't do it instantly, right? And then we're going to come back to those captions that hopefully it captured in this little widget right here. Oh, look, it's doing it right now. I don't even have to wait. That's amazing. Okay, so if I want to, I can make this like a decision that we have to make as a team, an action item, or a question that people are asking. If multiple people were talking, it would switch between me and whatever the other person's name is, right? And then I can also take that and highlight it, all right? So I'm going to show you what those things look like when I do that, all right? So now I've got this Google Doc going. So I'm going to open that Google Doc just to show you why this might be useful. All right, so here we go. So we've got our transcript coming in right now. It's not fully done because it takes a little bit of time. It's not instantaneous, right? Your highlights would show up right here with timestamps of the highlights, and so would your action items and questions. You see how it has that tagged right there? And it creates a bookmark in the transcript. So I can actually click on that time and it will take me to the bookmark where it's highlighted. Pretty powerful. So you see how it's still capturing it all, right? So this can be a really, really great tool if you need to capture, if there's some really great ideas that are happening in the class and you want to capture them and have them written down, or if you're in a meeting and some people are kicking around ideas and nobody, note taking is sometimes very tedious, this could really save some time. All right. We got to keep the tabs up here organized, right? Or else they'll get out of control. High contrast. Are your eyes tired? Because mine are, right? I've got a box light and I've got a monitor and another monitor. By the end of the day, my eyes are tired for sure. I don't have blue light blockers or anything. Maybe I should be getting that. But occasionally I go into dark mode on a lot of sites. But if they don't have a dark mode, I will use high contrast. It's pretty simple. I don't think I need to talk much on high contrast. It does affect everything, right? Whoops. It does affect everything. So just be careful. But it's really easy to enable and disable. So if I enable it, notice the whole site just went inverted color. Now that doesn't really work in this site very well because these are black. So now I'm getting actually more brightness when I switch that. But you've got your grayscale, you've got a higher contrast if it's hard for you to see what's actually happening, if the colors are a bit off. You can do your yellow and black and inverted grayscale. There's not a ton, right? I have inverted color set as my default screen or scheme because that makes it look like dark mode in a lot of websites, and I like a dark mode view, okay? I don't use it every day for sure, but if I'm doing a bunch of reading for a day and they don't have a dark mode, I'll throw this on and then I can just disable it again. Pretty easy. And then I'm actually going to unpin it. Cool. Keep awake. Super simple. Chromebooks go to sleep and you want to keep them awake, you should get Keep Awake. This is probably the first extension I ever added and actually used a lot. It's right here. All you can do is click on it. It switches between the three modes. Well, if you're getting Keep Awake, you probably want to keep your Chromebook awake. So just set it to the sun and it will keep the screen awake. You know how it goes to sleep and then you furiously tap the keyboard, right? Trying to get it awake again. You're about to sand off the mouse. You're furiously trying to get the mouse to click back on. You click it 40 times. Anyways, so Keep Awake. It's awesome. It keeps your Chromebook awake. I mean, what more could you want? I have mine plugged in pretty much all the time. So I never am worried about the battery life too much. I don't know if this is something I would recommend for everybody because, if you walk away from your Chromebook for 6 hours and you don't use it, your screen is on and everything looks like you're active, right? So just beware, but it can be really useful. All right, that's halfway. Whew. Hold on. Okay. So at this point, if you're anything like me, you've got too many extensions, right? So I use an extension manager. I use this one. Why do I use this one? I don't know. I tried 2 or 3 and I liked this one, right? There's a lot of extension managers out there, but here's why I use it. When I click on the extension manager, one, it tells me how many extensions and apps I have installed. So 48 right now. But that's just my active ones, right? That's just my active ones. These are all my ones that I actually have added to my account but aren't currently active. So if I wanted to bring one of these back to life, like Screenshot Reader, all I do is I click on it, and now Screenshot Reader is back up here, and it's turned back on. So sometimes I don't want to actually uninstall extensions and reinstall them. Like Tactiq, I don't use Tactiq on a daily basis. I don't need transcriptions of my Google Meets, but there are times when I do want it, and I don't want to have to add it back on, re-add all the permissions. So all I do is I click it right here, and now it's back down here. It's turned off, but I can easily find it and turn it back on. And let's say like I've got hundreds of these, right? And some of them I know the images, some of them I don't. But if I know the name, I can just search for it right here, right? And I can just click on it and bring it back. Okay, so there's probably more to do with this than what I'm showing you, but that's why I use it. It gives me a really easy snapshot. This puzzle piece thing, this is not easy for me to use at all. I don't love this update. I'm not a huge fan of it. I actually liked when this slid a lot more, and now it doesn't. And then your other alternative is Chrome // extensions, or the extensions manager right in your settings, but that's a quick way to get to it. And you can toggle them on and off. That's all we're doing, but it's just quicker than going to this website, searching for them and toggling them on and off, right? Search extensions, it's doing all of that. It's just kind of convenient to be right there as an extension. So that can be helpful. Oh my gosh. Confetti Cannon. Confetti Cannon. Why is it not pinned? Pin Confetti Cannon and let it rip. Let it rip. That's it. That's all Confetti Cannon does. It's so fun though. Finish a big project, give yourself some confetti. No, I mean, nobody else will see it, right? Like when I'm doing Confetti Cannon, unless I'm recording my screen, nobody else will see it. So that'd be kind of cool. Like at the end of your lesson, you're like, boom. I don't know. I think it's funny. Sometimes it's nice to just have a little bit of fun, and maybe you're sharing your screen on a Google Meet and you let a confetti cannon rip while you're sharing your screen. That can be fun too. So hit them with the element of surprise. You won't get them, don't use it daily because it'll lose its effect, but once or twice would be fun. Oh, Iorad. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Iorad. It's definitely an I, which is also confusing because Lorad would probably be easier to say, but I think it's Iorad. I make a lot of tutorials, so this one to me is worth its weight in gold because all you have to do. So let's say I'm gonna actually try to do this directly from here and see if it works. I click on the extension and it's gonna give me all these options of things I can create through Iorad, right? I'm not gonna create any of those because I want to make this custom tutorial on how to use whatever I'm showing, right? So a lot of times students, it's really easy to show students in person how to do some tool because you can sit next to them and help them, right? And it's really difficult if you're not there. So this is just like another layer of that helping that can really benefit people. So you hit capture, and it's going to ask you to go through whatever you're trying to explain. So let's say I'm trying to explain, click here, type this, click here, read this, and then you're done, right? I just do that myself. Click here, read this, do this, click here, boom, done. Okay, I'm actually going to hide myself for a minute because I've never done Iorad while recording myself. Okay, so look, if I just hover here, and then I close this, and then I click back, and then I click forward, and then let's say I'm done. All right, it's going to open that as a tutorial for me. Bring my camera back so we can say hi to each other. And you'll notice it has left click here. See, so now the person would actually have to click here in the tutorial, click back here and read this. See that? You can rename it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. So let me give you an example of one that I've actually created. Okay, so we have how to reset a Meet link in Google Classroom. So this is what it looks like at the beginning. It tells you how many steps, how long. You can change this however you want, and you click start. So you can change all of this text right here. So when they physically click, it goes to the next step. When they physically click, it goes to the next step, right? And I'm basically creating a click through to show you how to do it. And then the read is usually the last step, and usually it's just, you're done, right? And that's it. It's only 4 steps, but instead of writing, go to the settings gear, go to this, right? I can just visually show you so quickly. Amazing. Equatio. Oh my gosh, I could do a full video on Equatio. Maybe I should. First of all, you get a free premium version for teachers. Just search that, and you have to verify your school account, but that's it. It works really well with Google. So if you're a Google school, it works really well, right? So yeah, use Equatio. If you do any math ever, Equatio is really cool. Even if you have anything related to math, some sciences, computer science sometimes, if you use any kind of logic, you might end up loving Equatio. So let me get Equatio back. Oh man. All right, here we go. So Equatio is, when you click on it, it should give you an option for a toolbar. Straight away, the best thing is just the equation editor, right? So 5x squared, and if you've used an equation editor before, all your shortcuts, like using the caret and all of that and the arrows, it works very similar to Desmos's equation editor. And then I'm just going to hit insert math from here. It's going to come over as an image, and if I make this image bigger, it stays really nice quality, right? It doesn't pixelate at all. So that's really cool. There's more tools here if you need to, but for the most part, I'm able to make most of what I want to make. So really quickly, I can make equations, which is awesome. If I have some LaTeX somewhere, or if I'm trying to learn LaTeX, there you go. I'll show you how to use that in just a second. If I need to insert a graph of that, okay, so that's not really the best picture of the graph, but it uses Desmos's graph editor, brings that right in. You notice how I was working, right? And then I can go back and I can edit the math if I need to, right, and change it. Okay, handwriting. So if I am a tablet user or something, I can just write the equation in if I struggle with the keyboard shortcuts. So that's really nice. Speech input, I could just talk 5x squared minus 3x equals 0, and it's going to come in. Insert math space is super cool to me. So if I'm trying to make diagrams or visuals for students using different shapes, or creating a problem set, I just bring this stuff in. All right, so let's say I don't have an example problem in mind, right? But let's say I'm just trying to make something here. Let's say it's 7, right? And then I'm asking them something about that, right? But I can make these visuals that are really, really high quality, and I just click back and click insert, and you're going to notice now that's in there, right? And now I can make it bigger, and it stays really high quality. Okay, screenshot reader to me is so cool. I'm going to do that one last. STEM tools, though, if you need a periodic table every once in a while, you click on that. It gives you a little bit of information there. That's kind of cool. It's handy to have, right? For sure. And then some other science molecular viewer. Okay, so I typed in like chloride here, and it gave me all these different ones, right? Potassium chloride. That seems like something I learned about back in the day, right? And I can do all of these different diagrams, and then I can reset it. I mean, that is just really cool that you can do that. So, and then a calculator, which is always nice to have, right? A little calculator, always good to have. That's actually just Desmos's for function. That's what they've put in there. So the screenshot reader, let me give you an example here. So let's say I'm on a different site, and let's say I was working on an integral, right? Let's say I was doing some because sometimes people are like, well, yeah, of course it's going to work with like adding and subtracting numbers, but does it actually work? So let's say I'm going to integrate this, right? And you don't even have to understand what this means, right? But that's some pretty advanced symbols, right? So I'm going to take, and I'm going to open Equatio over here. And you notice screenshot reader. Now it looks different because it's not on a Google Workspace tool. So you don't have all the stuff that you had before, but you got the screenshot reader, which is what we need. So now I'm going to drag around this right here. Try to keep that 1 out of there if I can. All right. And now my screenshot. I want to save it as LaTeX. Oh, right here. Copy LaTeX. You see that right there? Now, that doesn't help me because I can't write that. Right? I don't have that language skill. But this does, right? So let me hide those tools. Look at this. Paste. I can even put in symbols here if I need to. You see how it will let me edit it over here too? Isn't that amazing? Right? So let's say I was doing that, right? And now I can insert that math. I mean, that is so powerful to me. Those are hard things to insert sometimes, right? So if you've got it on another site, you don't even need to like recreate it. You can just screenshot, read it, copy, paste, done. So to me, that is really cool. Big fan of Equatio. I made a mess of that slide. All right, next. Cami. All right, so if you've never used Cami, that you should try it, right? If you've ever used a PDF and you want to write on top of a PDF or sign a PDF and send it back, Cami is the place to go. But Cami.app works really well. You don't need an extension, right? You just go Cami.app and it's good. Everything's good, right? You log in with Google, you pull PDFs from your Google Drive, and everything works perfectly. So who really gives a rip about the Cami extension if you can do it all from here? Well, there's two main reasons why the Cami extension is helpful. One, when you go to your Google Drive, I'm going to show you a PDF of what you'll see when you have the Cami extension. All right, so I found a random PDF in my Google Drive. I spared you from watching me do that. And when I open a PDF, it inherently in Google Drive, it gives me the preview window, right? Sometimes that's all I need, but sometimes I want to do more. Well, with the Cami extension, I can annotate with Cami right there. Boom, done. Awesome. Okay. Even better than that is if I go to my Google Classroom and I want to use Cami with my students. Let me jump into my sample class here. Jump over to classwork and I hit create. Now there's a new assignment called a Cami assignment. So I can attach my PDF. I can assign it as a Cami assignment. It gives directions to my students on how to open it in Cami. They could benefit from having the extension as well, but they don't need it, right? It really helps me to have that though. And then it will show them how to annotate in Cami, save it, and put it back into Google Classroom. Really cool. There's actually a turn-in button on Cami if you have that paid subscription for Google Classroom, which is really, really awesome. The Pear Deck Power Up. Why do I care, right? I can do all Pear Deck things in Google Slides. You're right, you can. Here's why. Well, it says it helps with GIFs and animations. So if you use any of that kind of stuff in your Google Slides, which I highly recommend, it gives a little bit of more flavor to it. I highly recommend you do that. But why I like it, it gives me Pear right here. So when I want to start a Pear Deck, I just click on the Pear and then it comes right here. Yeah, I got it. It's an Add-Ons, Pear Deck, open. It's right there. It's not hard for me to get to. I just really like having that on the menu bar. It makes it even easier for me. So twofold, it helps it run better, right? And then it also gives you that little thing. If you're like animations, how do you even throw an animation on here? Let me show you this trick. I learned this year. Go to something like Giphy, right? And let's say you need an arrow. Let's say you need an arrow. All right. Okay. There's a ton of GIF arrows, but they have backgrounds in them, right? So if your background isn't the same color as that background, you can use eyedropper to make them the same. But if it's not, that might not be the most useful thing for you, right? But right here it says stickers. So now I've got these arrows that are transparent backgrounds. So I could take this little hand right here, right? And now it's like, well, how do I get that animated into my slide? Well, it's really easy. Media. And I'm going to copy the source link right here. Okay. And then I'm going to jump back to my Google slide. I'm going to insert image by URL. And I'm going to paste that source link. Now, you see I've got that. Well, you can't really tell because my background's white. So let me just change my background real quick to something not white. But you see how it just kind of looks animated right there. And I can rotate this and have it point to whatever I wanted it to point to. Okay. If you notice, I'm using that tool. I'm using that twice right here. I'm using a click icon for the Chrome Web Store, and I'm using a watch sticker right there. So animations like that run better in Pear Deck if you have the Pear Deck Power Up. IPEVO Visualizer. So this is maybe the only app. An app runs separately, right? An extension just runs. It improves the functionality of something on the page that you're on. An app runs separately. So IPEVO Visualizer. Let's jump into that. So I'm going to actually go down to my launcher. It's right here. If I could search for it, or I could open this up, but it's right here. I don't have a web. I don't have a .cam attached right now, but I could lower my webcam resolution if I wanted to. But let me just show you why this is really great. You can freeze the screen. You can put in a line reader, a couple different line readers. You can annotate on top of whatever your .cam is projecting. Okay, you can take a quick picture. Let me get rid of the annotation. You can take a picture. You can also take a video of your dock camera work, right? So if you're just using a dock camera and you just want to record that, it's really easy to do so. When you take a picture, they show up right here. They also show up in your camera. There I am. So you can see I actually did use this with my webcam. Sometimes when you're doing a webcam recording and trying to show a tool with a webcam, it doesn't always work as well. So IPEVO Visualizer, if you're a .cam user, try it out. It's really cool. You don't have to have an IPEVO camera, just any USB dock camera that you've attached to your Chromebook. Email notifications for Google Forms. So this is an add-on, right? So you're in a different place in the internet. You're in the Google Workspace Marketplace. Super easy to say. So if you have any Google Forms where you kind of forget about them, or you want the entire results of the form to be sent to you via email, this is the one to go with, right? So this is just a copy, right? I just made up a random form here. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to slide myself back over. I'm going to click on the add-ons and email notifications for Google Forms. There's a lot of these, and I found that I like this one a lot for a couple of reasons. Okay, one, there's not a lot to do. There's a lot of customization, but there's not a lot to do, right? I can create a rule. All right, so maybe this is just like return to me. Email addresses to notify. I just throw in my email again, right? I can also throw in other people's emails. So if we want, our team of 5 people, maybe I'm the only one who manages this form, but there's a team of 5 of us who need the results right there. Okay, this is who this email is coming from. So it's not like it's an auto sent email, but it's coming from me under the name Google Form. And then they can also reply to me. So that's really helpful just because it's looking personalized, even though it's actually automated. You can make your own email template if you'd like, but I just use the visual editor and I actually don't ever really change it, but you can edit it here. And then here's all the extra stuff that I haven't really played around with, but if somebody answered, who should this go to? And it said, 4 different names, we could attach that and they could go 4 different places. You can also send the person who submitted the form an email, and then you could also create a PDF of the answers. So pretty easy. You just hit save rule and then it does it. I just love the way it comes into my email as just all the answers really quickly. And then I can forward that on to people I need. It just makes it really, really nice. So not too complicated. Definitely does the job. See, I told you I had to keep track of my tabs. I'm not doing a good job with that. All right. I think we're almost done here, right? Music from Drive. Let's see where we are in this world. 19. Okay, we got 3 more. 19, 20, 21. Music from Drive. Do you have audiobooks on your Google Drive? Do you have files that maybe you have, maybe your own audio files that you try to keep track of? It's kind of hard in Google Drive. You get that preview window and you can hit play, and sometimes it says like, the music can't be played or it needs to be downloaded or something. It doesn't really make sense. Like, why can't I play this audio? So this add-on is new to me this year, and I think it can be really helpful. It actually just works through gdrivemusic.com, but I found having the add-on makes the functionality just a little bit better, right? So here's a couple things you can do. Well, you've got your player here. You can adjust the audio of your player, repeat, shuffle. You can skip through tracks. It's easy for you to kind of navigate through. If you wanted to pause at 2 minutes and 23 seconds, it's easy to do that. Audiobooks I'm kind of thinking of right now. You can create a new playlist. So let's say you have like 20 files and it's kind of a pain to click back and forth between all of them. Now you can just create a playlist and save it right here, right? And then you can also edit your playlist and you can add more audio files. So I don't actually use this. I just found this helping another teacher out, but I think it's actually really cool. SmallPDF. Well, PDFs are a pain. Cami does a great job if you want to write on top of it or put some text in or, create a signature. You can even comment in Cami. But a lot of times people ask me these really nuanced questions about PDFs, and I don't know how to answer them, because that's why a PDF was created, was so that it wasn't manipulated, right? That's kind of the point of a PDF. Well, SmallPDF does a really great job of answering a lot of those questions. Again, it's just a website, but I think some people find it easier to have the add-on, because then you can open things in your Google Drive with SmallPDF if you forget the site, right? But a lot of times I just end up going to the web-based site, SmallPDF, and then you can do all of these different things, right? So if you're having an issue with a PDF, or you want to try to convert it or edit it or whatever, and you're not having success with Cami, this might be your next step, would be doing something like this. I've actually used like the JPEG to PDF. I mean, things like that. It's just really nice to have in your back pocket. Like if somebody wants you to submit it as a certain file type, you can convert it pretty easily right here. So that can be pretty helpful. All right. This is it. The final one. Only relevant. I really think only relevant because sometimes we're working from home and kids are working from home. So there's not that bell ringing people in and out, keeping track of our time throughout the day, right? So form timer is just a timer that goes on top of your form once you start it, right? So you can limit it to an hour or 2 hours. I actually like form timer better than other timers, and I'll explain briefly why once I pull up a form, right? So let me pull up my copy form. I'm a little bit hesitant to share something like this because I'm not a big fan of the pushing more anxiety into students, right? By putting a timer at the top of their page. But as long as they know they can actually go past the timer, but that's their goal time, I think that works really well. So that's why I like this one. So let me show you. Form timer. I'm going to configure it. Really, all you do is you just say like, enable it, right? So I've actually already tried it with this, so I'm going to re-enable it. And then you operate off of their website, right? So now I'm going to go to form timer, but you can see there's a couple things you can do here to make sure you get it correct. Remember, this is just a nugget, right? This isn't the full thing. So here's my forms that I've worked with form timer. I think you only get I think it's like 100 responses a month. So, you can't use this if you have 150 students. But, maybe try it, or you could, I don't know how you could be creative there. So I'm going to set up my test parameters so I can actually configure how long. I like continue after timeout a lot, right? So it tells me they've gone past the time. It tells me how long they've actually been taking this, but at least I can have that conversation with students like, hey, well, I wanted you to do this between this many minutes, but it took you. Why did it do that? What questions did you get to? So anyways, so that's kind of cool. You can control the start and end time for your form if you want to. And then they actually get a welcome page when they get on. So and then it'll click start and they'll go to their form. It looks really official. So that's kind of cool. So I would really customize this though. This looks very sterile to me. You can also put a little logo in for yourself and you can change the color. So it's not a ton of stuff you can do, but I would customize that just a bit, right? And then you're going to get responses in here. You can test the link out. I'll show you what that looks like real quick. Okay, so when I say you get this really official thing, see, look, and you're operating through their website to answer this form. It's embedded in there, right? Okay, and you can see the toolbar, or you can see the timer running up there. Again, I'm hesitant to share that, but I think it could be really helpful for some people. And that's it. Those are my 20 extensions for 2020. I hope one of them you learned something. If you made it through this whole video, or if you just watched one or two, regardless of how you did it, I'm thankful that you watched it at all, and let me know what else you need from me and what else I can do. Thanks, y'all.